Alrighty, good evening everyone and welcome to the Understanding Behavior live stream. My name's Nick. We've got an exciting topic today. Last week we went over experimental design part 1. Tonight we're going over experimental design part 2. Who's ready to rock? It's gonna be sick. Last time we talked a little bit about group designs versus single subject designs. We talked about baseline logic. We talked about features of a graph and how to read data paths such as trend, level, and variability. Today we're going to spend some time going over each of the designs. We're going to talk about their features. We're going to talk about when to use them. And we'll also talk about how they demonstrate experimental control and what we need. How we doing tonight, everyone? I'm excited to be here. It's a great Thursday evening. We're going to get right into this stuff. If you're not familiar, we do like to do some giveaways during these Understanding Behavior live streams. So ways that you can trigger that even faster is by hitting that thumbs up like button on the video. If we see a certain number of likes on the video, then we'll go ahead and do a giveaway tonight for one of our amazing Understanding Behavior products. Who knows what we'll give away today? Maybe we'll give away something juicy, but we'll see what we're feeling tonight. We'll see how active and engaged everybody is, and we'll probably give away something pretty juicy. Alright, just catching up on chat. We've got Jasmine Sims here. I passed today. Just wanted to say thank you, Nick. You guys got it, and you're in good hands. All right. Hell yeah, Jasmine. Congratulations. Love it, love it, love it. That's amazing. I love to hear it, Jasmine. And yeah, if you're starting Understanding Behavior content, you are in good hands. Aiden's on vacation, so that's great. And well, I'm so honored that you would include me as part of your vacation. I probably should get the Beast Slayer now. I think the Beast Slayer course is pretty awesome. We'll talk more about it later. We probably won't do a Beast Slayer giveaway tonight. We can't do these giveaways every week, but we'll give away something juicy tonight for sure. Maybe we'll do multiple giveaways. If we get enough likes on this video, we might even do multiple giveaways tonight. So make sure you're hitting that like button so we can give that cool stuff away. Yeah, I love that. Timmy C in chat saying, I've thoroughly enjoyed the Beast Slayer course. It's probably been the least aversive study tool so far. I'm so glad to hear that because I know there's a lot of the other study tools out there, all have their pains, and if people say BDS works really well, but I've done those modules and even I want to slam my face against those because they're just so hard. Yeah, Beast Slayer course makes studying the test for the exam much more approachable, and it's very easy, and you'll get everything that you need out of it too. Heck yeah, love to see it. Love to see it. Well, cool. Well, we're here with experimental design part 2. Again, we're gonna start with our designs. Let me get my proper screen up here. There we go. And we're gonna start with the withdrawal reversal design. So this is probably the one that you're most familiar with already. In the withdrawal reversal design, what we do is that we reverse between baseline and intervention conditions. So we separate these baseline and intervention conditions with a phase change line, which are these horizontal lines on our graph. And you can see that we have our labels here. We've got baseline, then intervention, baseline, then intervention. What do we think if we have this graph here? Do you think this is a behavior that we're trying to increase or decrease? Just looking at these data paths off of our top graph here, what do you guys think? Are we gonna try to increase or decrease the behavior with this graph that we've got here? Yeah, looking really good here. Perfect. So yeah, it definitely looks like we're trying to increase the behavior here because when we implement our intervention, we see the behavior increase. So hopefully that's what we were trying to do. If not, then we should probably switch up what we're doing and probably do a different intervention. All right, so yeah, looks great here. In our baseline, we've got low levels of the behavior. Remember, level refers to the average of the data points in a data path. So we can estimate that by drawing a horizontal line across the data path. And we can do a similar thing for our intervention condition. Note that we kind of had like a warm-up session. This often happens where, like, when we change the conditions, the behavior doesn't adapt to the conditions right away. So we can also look at level, like where it stabilizes out. So we might just ignore this outlier here and draw our level line over here that kind of cuts through the center of all the data paths, or all the data points. Looks good, looks good. So again, we're reversing between our baseline and intervention conditions. What we want to do is we want to compare the level of the behavior in the different conditions with and without the IV. Note that we kept this statement here from last time. The most important thing to show experimental control is that we're going to be comparing level between our conditions. So that's no different for any of our designs. Main thing you want to focus on is comparing the level between our conditions. Remember, our independent variable usually refers to our intervention. So it's the thing that we're changing to try to change our dependent variable, which is our measurement of the behavior. Again, to visually identify this graph, what we want to look for is that we have baseline and intervention conditions. We have at least two of one of these. So we have to have at least two baseline conditions or two intervention conditions for it to be a withdrawal design. And we also want to look for these phase change lines that separate these baseline and intervention conditions. So if you see all those things in place, then yep, we've got a withdrawal reversal as one of the components of the chart that we're looking at. In a withdrawal reversal design, we're also able to test out multiple interventions. So if we look at our bottom graph here, we do just that. We have baseline, we have intervention A, then we have a second intervention, which is intervention B, then we go to intervention A and B. Typically, when we're labeling these, we'll label our baseline as our A condition. Our intervention condition, the first one that we implement is going to be the B condition, and then our second intervention is going to be a C. If we do a third intervention, that's going to be D, and so on down the alphabet. So if we look at the design that we have here, this would be an A, B, C, B, C. So baseline, intervention 1, intervention 2, intervention 1, intervention 2. All groovy so far. With a withdrawal design, you're also able to start with a treatment condition. So right here is a pretty standard format where we have our A, B, A, B. But you can also have a variation where we start with the B condition, where we have a B, A, B. So that is also a possibility with the withdrawal reversal designs. And we see that we only have one baseline condition here, but this is enough to show experimental control. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. Let's actually start looking at the data here. So last week we talked about our prediction, verification, and replication, which was our three different baseline logic terms. Let's first test if you were, especially if you were here last week, let's first test if you remember how to do our predictions. So where would we make our prediction for our first baseline condition in this top graph here? We'll call it graph 1. Again, what I'm looking for here is how would we make a prediction about the data in our baseline condition for graph 1 here? What do you guys think? How would we do that? Where would we want to draw this prediction line? Aiden, we'll get there. Cool, yeah, Amy SR, I like where you're going there. Yeah, Gisela, that looks great too. As far as withdrawal and reversal, they will not test you on the difference between those on the BCBA exam. So for our intents and purposes, they're exactly the same. Withdrawal and reversal, those are interchangeable terms. Cool, yeah, Alberta, I really like how you phrase that. Looks great. So again, we're looking at how would we make a prediction about our baseline condition for graph 1. So essentially our prediction is going to be that we would see about the same level and the same trend of the behavior. So we might see some additional bouncing around like this 2 mark. And we can make our prediction with a dashed line. That usually indicates that we have a prediction. So again, we predict that the trend is going to continue, and we predict it's going to continue around the same level as well. Awesome. So we have our first prediction here about our baseline. We'll do a P for prediction. And then what would we predict about our intervention? So same kind of thing, but like what kind of prediction are we going to make about our intervention condition in graph 1? So again, we're still talking about predictions right now. We're making a prediction about our intervention condition. What would that look like? Prediction about intervention condition. Cool, yeah, Amy's on it. Tian, I think that'd be something else. We're still doing predictions here. Good, yeah, Philomena, that looks great. Yeah, Stormy, I like where you're going. Remember, we're still doing predictions here. We're doing a prediction about our intervention condition. So what would that prediction look like? Yeah, so a lot of people are talking about what happens if we remove the intervention, but we're not removing the intervention yet. Yeah, Pamela, I really like where you're going there. That looks great. Yeah, a lot of people are jumping ahead to me on going to verification, but that's one of the things that really trips a lot of students up on the BCBA exam. It's just like, you think they might be asking one thing, but they're actually asking something else. So right now I'm not asking about verification yet. I'm asking about this prediction. So make sure you're answering the proper question that's being asked. People miss tons of points by missing out on that. All right, so we have some good answers here. We're making a prediction about our our intervention condition now. So we're going to predict that it's going to stay around this same level in trend. So our level was around 13.5, 14 or so. And then we also saw no trend here. I should have done that on a dotted line, my bad. This should be a dotted line, and this is going to be our prediction about our intervention condition. So we had a prediction about our baseline condition. Sorry, I'm making a mess out of this. Then we had a prediction about our intervention condition as well. Perfect. Looks good, looks good. Well, now people were jumping ahead on me. So what did we demonstrate in this third phase? Is it prediction, verification, or replication? So when we got the data in this third phase here, our second baseline, what did we demonstrate? Is it prediction, verification, or replication? And how do we know? Remember those rationales, best to back it up. Good, yeah, Aiden, I love it. Gisela looks great. Awesome, good answers coming in through. Good. Yeah, Tyler, I like where you're going. Jameson looks good. Yeah, these are great, everyone. Keep it up. Love all the rationales coming through. Greenie, Amy, Pamela, Rose, Philomena. Good. Shantae looks great. Good to see you here. Yeah, there you go, Dayron. I see a lot of our Beast Slayers in chat, and they are absolutely crushing this. Good job, everyone. So this is going to be our verification. Verification is when we prove that our prediction about our baseline condition was accurate. So our prediction was that we're going to see no trend around the level 2. And then what we saw is that we, if we again disclude this outlier here, but we saw that we had about no trend and the level was about 1 to 2. So in this case, we had verification. Again, we're going to disclude this outlier data point here. So verification is when we, once again, we prove that prediction about our baseline condition was accurate. So we saw in our first baseline, the level was around 2. We had no trend. We made a prediction that that trend is going to continue around that same level. Now we return back to our baseline condition, and we've proven that that prediction is accurate. That means that verification occurred. Awesome. Okay, so we went back to our intervention condition now, and we also saw a very similar pattern, that we proved that our prediction about our intervention condition is accurate. What term related to baseline logic occurred in this fourth condition? What do you guys think? So again, we proved that our prediction about our intervention condition is accurate. What term describes that pattern? Good. Very good, very good. Nice job, everyone. Yelena, good to see you here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Looking great, everyone. So we would call that pattern that's going to be replication. So once again, we made a prediction about our intervention condition that's going to be around 14 as the level with no trend. We reverted back to our intervention condition and we saw that pattern occur. We saw no trend at about 14 level. Perfect. Nice job here, crew. So now I'm going to ask one more question. Which phase here is it the first A, second B, or first A, first B, second A, or second B? Which one do we know, or which phase tells us that we have experimental control? What do you guys think? So again, the question is, which phase here is it first baseline, first intervention, second baseline, or second intervention? Which phase tells us that we have experimental control? All right, looks like most people are saying the second baseline. We've got a couple people saying the second intervention condition. Which one is it? All right, well, we're a little bit mixed on this one. The best answer is going to be the second baseline condition. So right here is when we can demonstrate experimental control. So we don't necessarily need to do our replication in this case to get experimental control. We have pretty strong experimental control here. Remember last week we talked about experimental control as kind of a spectrum though. So this is enough to show like pretty strong experimental control, but once we revert back to our intervention condition, then this will show even stronger experimental control. So like right here we're at like 95% confidence, and then this replication here gets us to like 98% confidence. So like most of our confidence occurs in this third phase. This would also be the same for our BAB. So we want to look at this third phase would give us enough information for experimental control. So let's say I have, let's say we have a high rate behavior actually, I'm going to mix this up. Don't disregard this part. Let's say we have a low rate behavior in our intervention condition. we go to baseline, and then we get a high rate behavior, and then we go back to intervention, and we get low rate behavior. So looking at this BAB chart here, which term related to baseline logic would occur in this phase? Is it prediction, verification, or replication? So again, we're looking at this third phase here. What would occur in this phase? Is it prediction, verification, or replication? A lot of people saying verification. We've got Dara saying replication. Okay, a couple more replications. Most people saying verification though. Okay. Like Selena has a rationale with her answer. That's my favorite. Hey, you don't need to spell well in chat. No worries. All right. Well, this one is going to be replication. So replication is when we prove that our prediction about intervention condition is accurate. So if we make a prediction, we would predict that this would be around like 0 level and be a no trend. Then we implement our intervention condition again, and shows replication. So this one, we actually didn't need verification at all to show experimental control. We showed it with replication because we started with our intervention condition, then we went to baseline condition. So verification is only when we're proving our predictions about baseline conditions are accurate. Replication is when we prove our predictions about intervention conditions are accurate. And you can do either or to show experimental control, depending on whether we start with a baseline condition or whether we start with an intervention condition. So either or works there. It just kind of depends what you start off with. Cool, cool, cool. All right, well, that looks great. Nice job on those. I'm glad to get that refresher with our baseline logic. Let's also talk about when to phase change on a withdrawal reversal design. Yeah, it was a request to say the part about baseline logic one more time. So what we need is we need to reverse back to the original condition. So if we started with baseline, then we can show experimental control by going to intervention and then baseline. This would show us verification. Or we can also show experimental control if we started with an intervention condition. We could do so with replication because we're proving that our prediction about the treatment condition is accurate. So either or works for experimental control. Verifications when we repeat a baseline, replications when we repeat an intervention condition, but either work to show experimental control. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, awesome, awesome. Cool, I'm glad that's clicking with everybody. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Just looking at our view counter here, we've got 117 people here. That's amazing, but we've only had 56 likes on the video. That's less than half. I think we could do a little better, so if you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, it'd be a great time to do so, especially if you're learning some things tonight. All right, let's go ahead and talk about when to do our phase changes. So there are two main patterns that you want to look for. Our first one is going to be very familiar when we have very stable data. So I'm actually going to clear off this baseline logic stuff so we have a clean slate to work with here. So first, when we have stable data, this is an appropriate time to do a phase change because, again, we would make a prediction that our trend is just going to continue at the same level. It's not really going anywhere. So stable data, totally cool to make a phase change. Usually we just want that stability for like the last 3 to 4 data points. So we saw like with like the second intervention phase, like if we were to just draw this trend line, you might see it as an ascending trend. But again, sometimes we need to just disclude this outlier and kind of just account for it that they're kind of like warming up to the condition. They're kind of figuring it out. So when we disclude that outlier and now we draw our trend, then we can see that there's no trend and that is an appropriate time to phase change. All right, there is one other condition when we can do a phase change. This one might be a little bit less familiar, but it does relate to our baseline logic stuff. So let's take a look at this one. So if the data are trending in the opposite direction intended by the next condition. So we saw in this graph, you guys told me earlier that our intervention is intended to increase the rate of this behavior. So let's look at, we have a trend. Let's say we have a data path. This data path in our baseline condition, it has a trend. So it's either ascending or descending. Which one would we want to phase change on? Would we phase change the ascending data or phase change the descending data? And if you can come up with a rationale for this one related to baseline logic, you're going to get extra cool points, gold star. So again, once again, the question that is being asked is that there's one trend of data for our baseline condition here that we could phase change on. It's either ascending or descending. Which one is it? Gold star if you can tell me why related to baseline logic and prediction verification and replication. All right, April and Precious on the right track. I like the stab at the rationales here. It's something to do with trend. Yeah, in this one, with this graph too, we said that we are targeting behavior for increase. So our intervention is intended to increase the behavior. But yeah, Emily, great point. All right, Sada, yeah, I like where you're going. Alexa, I like where you're going. Cool, yeah, Victoria on the right track. Okay, nobody's really nailing it the way I want it to. Not yet, but you guys are on the right track for sure. So yeah, I'm looking for a little bit deeper rationale for those cool points, gold star. So yeah, a lot of people are saying like because it's trending in the opposite direction. So I want a deeper analysis here for those gold stars. And again, that deeper analysis is going to relate to baseline logic and trends. Going through the answers here. Sorry, just catching up on chat, reading these. There's definitely some good explanations here. I'm looking for that deep analysis for those cool points though. And again, the question is that we could phase change for this if on this graph if we have one trend of data, so either ascending or descending. Extra cool points if you can tell me if you can first identify which trend that we could phase change on, and second, tell me why in relation to baseline logic. And I'm going to give another hint here. Think about our rule that we discussed related to trending data. Ooh, Ooh, Stephanie's getting a little closer. Okay, okay, okay. Not necessarily you, Lena. You'd have to look at the target. And you get cool points for tied, so this is for the gold star here. Think about. I only have one more hint here. Think about predictions. Ooh, yeah, Amy. I think Amy might deserve this gold star. She's getting really close. Yeah, Aiden, you get some silver stars. I like that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this. Shout out to Amy. She was definitely the closest for what I was looking for here. So the answer here is we're trying to increase this behavior with our intervention. So we could phase change if we had descending data. So let's say we have a trend that our data path that kind of looks like this, and the behavior is descending. So the reason why we could phase change here is because our prediction would be that the behavior would continue to descend in as our prediction. Sorry, that should be a dash line. Our prediction is that we would predict that it would continue to descend. So in terms of experimental control, if we change the trend and the level of the behavior, then it shows that our intervention had a very clear effect. So the answer I was really looking for here is because we would predict that the trend would continue to descend, and we would, when we show verification, then it would change both the level and the trend of the behavior. So that's what we were looking for on this one. So in our intervention condition, we saw that the behavior still increased. And then for our baseline condition, we saw that it decreased back. So we can phase change if the data are trending in the opposite direction intended by the next condition. Let's say we had an ascending data path here instead. So a data path that looks like this. Then we would not do our phase change here. Anybody want to go for why we would not want to do the phase change here? So we're trying to increase this behavior, but the behavior is ascending in baseline. Why would we not want to phase change here? And what might we do instead? Good. Yeah, Nicole, really nice. Yeah, Aiden, silver star for sure there. That looks great. Good. Yeah, Aaron, right on the right track. You can drop that question mark off. Jamie too. Yeah, you can drop that question mark off. You killed that one. Awesome. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of rationales in here. I can't keep up with all of them, but these are looking really great overall. Yeah, Yelena, there you go. Tien looks great. Lisa. Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. So if the behavior were ascending in baseline and our intervention is intended to increase the behavior, then we have an issue. So again, it kind of relates to our prediction, is that we would predict that this trend is going to continue, that the behavior is going to ascend until it doesn't. And then if we implement our intervention, if we got this data still, then we wouldn't be confident that our intervention caused this change in behavior. Because what happened is, remember, when we talked about an experiment, what we're doing is that we need to isolate one independent variable or one explanation for a change in behavior. So if we were to implement the intervention here, then we could have two possible explanations for the change, for the increase in behavior. First is that our intervention caused it. The second would be because it's already ascending, and ascending data are likely to continue ascending until they don't. So if we implement our intervention here, then we have no idea how to parse those apart, because there's two possible explanations for this increase in behavior. So with our, if it's trending in the direction intended by our next phase, we cannot do a phase change because we would not be able to isolate the variable that would cause that increase in behavior, because we have two possible explanations. So opposite direction intended by the next phase, good to go. So if we have trying to increase behavior and we see descending trend, totally cool. But if we see it in the same direction intended by the next phase, then that's not cool. We don't want a phase change there, because we would not be able to tell which variable caused that change in behavior. Whew, crazy stuff, huh? I think this is part of the reason why people hate experimental control, but I think it's really cool, and you need to think about it as a scientific experiment. And going back to what we discussed last week, we need to isolate a single independent variable or a single explanation for the change in behavior. Otherwise, we don't have, we're not doing science. We don't have an experiment. We're not doing science. Cool. Well, hopefully that's making some sense here. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the withdrawal reversal design. So a couple different features here. First of all, this is the strongest demonstration of experimental control out of any of our designs. Usually, like the strength of a design is going to be relevant to how, or if we like implement and remove an independent variable. So we do that very clearly here with our baseline intervention baseline. Like we implement the intervention, the behavior changes, we take it away, the behavior changes back. So that shows really strong experimental control. The less we do that, the weaker experimental control that we have. So withdrawal reversal design is really strong experimental control, because we very clearly show the differences between our baseline and intervention conditions. We only change the one thing, and that will show the change in behavior. Yeah. Cool. The couple other things about withdrawal reversal designs: we cannot use these behaviors that cannot be reversed or unlearned very easily. So if we're looking at, let's say, like you're riding your bike for 1 minute, and we're looking at like percentage that you stay on the bike as our dependent variable, like percentage of duration that you stay on the bike as our dependent variable, well, that's probably going to be an irreversible behavior, because like once you learn how to balance on a bike, you're not easily going to forget how to do that. So that would not be a good design a good behavior for this design, because when we implement our baseline condition again, what will probably happen is that we like still see the behavior stay at high rates, or what high levels are of our dependent variables. One thing that a lot of people get tripped up here when they name behaviors, I'm seeing this happen in chat a little bit too, is that they don't necessarily describe the dependent variable. So like I see a couple of people saying like reading in chat. So what measurement of reading? If we're looking at speed of reading, then this could be sensitive. But if we're looking at like percentage of reading the words correctly, then this is probably not going to be easily reversed. So make sure that like when you're talking about these behaviors, that you're labeling a measurement system behind it for a dependent variable. So like for reading, speed of reading might be sensitive to an intervention. But if we were looking at percentage of accuracy for reading the words, then that was not probably going to be as reversible. So yeah, make sure you're always specifying the measurement for that dependent variable. Good. That's why for the bike riding example, I used like percentage duration of staying on the bike. Because if I'm looking at like speed of pedaling, This also might be sensitive to the conditions that you're currently facing, and that would be a reversible behavior. So very important, get that dependent variable measurement system in there. All right. We can also, with the withdrawal reversal designs, there are some potential ethical limitations when we're dealing with severe and dangerous behavior. So since it requires us to remove an intervention, sometimes that can cause an ethical issue if we're working with like SIB or some other severe behavior. So keep that in mind. You can use it to test out multiple interventions. So we talked about this one here where we have two different interventions, intervention A and B. And this one is also interesting because we have two different dependent variables. We've got the black squares, and then we've got the open squares. So those are two different behaviors here. As far as testing out multiple interventions, it's a little bit slower than another design that we'll talk about in just a sec, because it requires very specific data patterns before we can phase change. So again, we want either a stable pattern or the pattern to be trending in the opposite direction intended by the next phase. All right, we've got Emily S. in chat just dropping in to say, I passed this week. Use the fluency questions to help. I love it. Congratulations, Emily. We got another new BCBA in the house. Love to see it. Congrats, and thanks for stopping in. Come hang out. We're nerding out about alternating treatments designs next. It's going to be fun. All right. Well, cool. Well, I think I maybe exhausted you guys a little bit with our super thorough withdrawal review, and the like counter is looking really great right now. Thanks for everybody who's been hitting that recently. Let's go ahead. We're gonna do a giveaway. Let's make this first one a little bit juicy. So first giveaway, we'll give away our super ultimate mock bundle. So this comes with our mini mocks, and it comes with an attempt of our Beat the Beast 1 and Beat the Beast 2. So if you win this, you win all three products. If you already have one of the products, you're able to participate still. We'll just fill in your gaps. So yeah, feel free to participate if you want any of those three products, and we'll give you all three. Well, maybe even if you have like mini mocks already, like we might even like reset your attempts on them. So that's an option as well. Emily E is asking, is it true you're making a Beat the Beast 3? Yeah, we are. Beat the Beast 3 is like I hate when you guys like tell me, like make me put release schedules on things, because it puts like so much pressure on me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I want to do it really bad, or if it's like making me not want to do it. Anyway, Beat the Beast 3 is planning to come out before the end of this month. So stay tuned for that. All right. But yeah, let's go ahead. We're going to give away this super ultimate mock bundle. And yeah, it looks like you guys are already throwing numbers into chat. We're doing 1 to 500 today. So throw a number in and you'll be Gucci. We have a question. Does the Beast Slayer come with a full mock? Currently, it does not come with a full mock exam. We had a special intro offer where it did, but that offer is now over. Yay, Chastity, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, hopefully I can show you how awesome our stuff is, and I hope you're enjoying the presentation so far. All right, lots of participants tonight. We'll give you guys another 10-15 seconds before we pick this number, or we'll wait till these slow down a little bit. Remember, one guess per person. Multiple guesses will be disqualified. All right. The Beast Mode bundle comes with the Beast Slayer course. So, yeah, we have the complete Beast Mode bundle. We just dropped this a couple weeks ago. But this comes with the Beast Slayer course. It comes with everything in the Super Ultimate Mock bundle. So the 2 mocks and our mini mocks. And it comes with our fluency questions. So if you're like, wow, I just want to pass, like, this is the bundle to get, because it has everything that you need. All right, we're going to pick our number here. Danielle Ramirez is going to be our last entry. Our number is 449. Help me out, chat. Who is closest? 449. Who we got? Okay. I see 458. Sita, that's pretty close. 458. Okay, so that's 9 off. Is there anybody closer? 458 is the closest I see right now. Help me out here, guys. There's so many guesses. At 433, okay, it's a little bit farther off. Wait, so it's Selena 442. Where was that? I missed that one. Is it towards the top or the bottom? Help me out. Oh, yeah, we do have Selena 442. All right, I think Selena is going to be our winner. Wait, who had 448? April says 448. Wait, who had 448? Help me out here, crew. I don't see a 448. I see a 458. April 448. I see April 355. Help me out. Is there an April 448? I know, Sita, you had 458. That Selena was a little bit closer. Okay. No, okay. Looks like Selena is our winner tonight. All right. Thanks so much, here, crew. All right. Selena's going to be our winner. Thanks so much for coming, Selena. And congratulations. Send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com and we'll get you set up. That's okay. Yeah, there's so many numbers to sift through, but so close. Congratulations. All right. Well, it's a fun crowd tonight. We'll probably do another giveaway later on. So keep hitting that like button, and we'll do something. We'll do another giveaway later. Let's say, okay, we've got 121 people here. If we get it to 100, we'll give away another super ultimate mock bundle. If not, we'll give away something else. So that's the deal. We got to get to 100 likes, and we'll give away another super ultimate mock bundle. Otherwise, we'll just give away like one of the other mocks. Cool. So make sure you're hitting that like button. On that note, let's get into alternating treatment designs. Cool. So here's our alternating treatments design. This is also an AKA term, is the multi-element. Totally interchangeable terms. You can use these terms however you want. Flip-flop them, whatever. It totally works. Same thing with withdrawal reversal for the BCBA exam. They won't test you on the difference between those. Sweet. Yay, congrats, Selena. I love that. So the main feature of an alternating treatments design is that we're rapidly alternating between conditions. A lot of people will say like, hey, it has multiple treatment conditions, but that's not the main thing here. The main thing is that we're rapidly alternating between conditions. So drill it in your head. Main thing, rapidly alternating between conditions. Let's talk about what that means real quick. So look at our graph here. We have three different conditions here. We've got our diamonds, which are the escape condition. We've got our triangles, which are the play condition. And then we've got our squares, which are the attention condition. So 3 different conditions. And note that every single every single session, we're switching up what condition we're running. So we go square, diamond, triangle, square, diamond, triangle, square, square, diamond, square. So pretty much every session we're changing it up. Well, we did do 2 squares here. That's totally fine. You can do 2 in a row, not a big deal. Sometimes that helps with experimental control. We won't get that deep today. But pretty much every session we're switching up what condition we're running. So again, main thing you need to focus on is rapidly alternating between conditions. Quick question here. Can you have an alternating treatments design with only one treatment? Give me a yes, no, and why. And if yes, what would that look like? So again, the question is, can you have an alternating treatments design with one treatment? Yes or no? If yes, what would that look like? We got a lot of no's here. Aiden saying, I think you can, but I don't remember why. No, because you can't alternate one treatment. Okay. But like, we could have a withdrawal design with one treatment, right? Yeah, the question we're working with is, can you have an alternating treatments design with one treatment? Does that work? Philomena says maybe yes, with different parameters in the same intervention. So that would be like 2. If we have different parameters with an intervention, that would be 2 different interventions. Okay, Emily's like kind of saying a similar thing. Like you could do different dosages. Those would be different interventions. If you have like different levels of a treatment. So if you did like, if you're doing like a pill, like 5 milligrams versus 10 milligrams, like those would be different interventions. Oh, Jessica says, can you baseline intervention, question mark. Ooh. All right, gold star for Jessica. Gold star for Jessica. She nailed it. You absolutely can. You can do a rapid alternation between a baseline or a control condition and a single intervention. So yes, you can do this design with only one intervention. Let's say we've got triangle is our intervention, and then we have circle is control. So what this would look like is that we do triangle, then we do circle, then we do triangle, then circle, then circle, then triangle, triangle. And this totally works. Totally works. Totally good to go here. So gold star for Jessica. Way to nail that. Go against the grain, and it paid off. She got that gold star. So yeah, if you can do this design, and again, the main thing that we're looking at is if we're rapidly alternating between our conditions. If we're doing that, we are good to go for an alternating treatments design. Yeah, Aiden gets the bronze star. She said yes, but was quite unsure. I like that. Aiden, you're hilarious. So yeah, this looks great, everyone. If you have a single intervention in a control condition, you could do a multi-element as well. Yeah, Crystal's here tonight. Welcome, Crystal. Good to see you. Cool. An alone condition would not be a control condition, but a lot of people have been getting tripped up on pairwise analysis. A pairwise analysis is a multi-element where we just flip between 2 conditions. Sometimes it's 2 treatment conditions. Sometimes it's a treatment and a control. So either or. Crystal's here. She's famous. She's famous. All right. Let's talk about the visual analysis for alternating treatments design. So main thing that you want to look for, once again, is that you want to see that we have different treatment conditions that are on different sessions. So now there's only one data point per session here if we're looking at like our x-axis. But these are looking at different treatments. So that's the way that we're going to identify this design. Different IVs on different sessions. Let's compare that real quick to our withdrawal design. This withdrawal design, where we had 2 different behaviors, we note that we have 2 data points on every session. So this shows that these are 2 different behaviors and not 2 different treatments. compared to, once again, with our alternating treatments design, we have every single session has a different treatment on it. Yep, looks good. Looks good. Yeah, Stormy's right on track. We could do like treatment, no treatment with this too. That's totally works. For a multi-element design, the baseline condition is optional. So note in this one, like we didn't do like a hard baseline at all. You can do it, it does help, but you don't need to do it. Oftentimes what we do is that we have a control condition or a baseline condition that we'll rapidly alternate between. So you may have noticed that this one is looking at a functional analysis. In a functional analysis, our play condition serves as the control condition. So we're just throwing that in the mix of all the other conditions with the alternating treatments design. Cool. Aiden, it just says rate of problem behavior per minute. So it doesn't matter what the behavior it is, just a problem behavior per minute. It's outlined there though. Some features of this design is that we can test out many different independent variables really quickly. So we can know in just a few data points if an intervention is working or not with this design. Where we saw with our withdrawal design, but that took a little bit longer. It's a little bit slower because we need to wait for those specific patterns in the data. When you're testing for experimental control, again, we're going to be looking at our levels between our conditions. This has not changed. And you can either make the comparisons to the interventions in a baseline condition, a control condition, or to our other treatment conditions. So again, we can draw the level lines for this graph. I think we actually reused this graph from last week. So we can see our escape condition, our level is about 4. Our triangles, this play condition is right at 0. And then our attention condition is like around 1 or so. So again, to show experimental control, we want to compare the levels between these conditions. We can compare them to the different treatments, or we can compare the treatments to the control condition as well. We can also do these comparisons here. So again, we want to see differences in levels between these conditions. If we say that we have, or if we see that we have clear and consistent differences in the levels between these conditions, then we can show that we have experimental control. Cool, just catching up on chat. Jameson's asking, could this also be used to see what triggers a behavior? So yeah, that's kind of what we did here in this functional analysis. So yep. There's no key on the graph and no labels on a multi-element. Would you say that you need more information? So there will be labels. Like if the labels are necessary to answer the question, then you will have them. Like they're not going to trick you like that. If you need the information, they'll provide it. Cool. All right, let's keep moving forward. For our alternating treatments designs, let's talk about the utility behind them. So they're used to quickly evaluate many different interventions. It's kind of the best use for this. So in this one, like we had 3 different conditions, and we could very quickly evaluate like which one is having the greatest effect on the behavior. This is also the best design to use for severe and dangerous behavior. There's a couple reasons for that. So we'll relate them back to the utility of the design, or sorry, the features of the design. First of all, like we can skip a baseline condition entirely. So that's great, where we like don't need to sit in baseline for a severe behavior for a really long time. Second is that we can test out many different interventions quickly, and we never need to remove the interventions. So with our withdrawal design, we needed to remove the intervention to show experimental control. We don't need to do that for an alternating treatments design. Cool. Alternating treatments designs, they also can be used for learned or irreversible behaviors. This is because since we're rapidly alternating between the 2 conditions, then we kind of like even out the practice effects that occur in each condition. So let's say like we are looking at like the bike riding example I was looking at earlier. So it was like percentage duration on like staying up on a bike for like a 1-minute period. And like if we did two different interventions, let's say we did triangle and circle again, then like the exposure to each kind of evens out. So like for example, like in the first session, they're completely naive to this behavior. They get the training from the first intervention, and then they move on to intervention 2. So now they have that previous experience from the first intervention. But when we move back to the first intervention, now they have the experience from both of these sessions. So we see that it kind of like evens itself out when we're working with these irreversible behaviors because they get about equal amount of exposure to each as they progress through time. And that would be it would be called a practice effect. So it's a particular type of sequence effect called a practice effect. Cool. Whenever you see a functional analysis, this is the graph that we're going to use. It's very, very, very rare that we'll have a functional analysis that does not have an alternating treatments design. So if you see like the condition labels like escape, attention, play, ignore, tangible, you can pretty much be like, yep, that's an alternating treatments design. You'll be right 99.9% of the time. You can use other designs, but we don't. Like we just straight up don't. Actually, me and my past coworkers, we did like an article review of like 150 functional analysis articles. Every single one used an alternating treatments design for their functional analysis. We found one article that used a withdrawal design, but it's because they failed with their alternating treatments design. So they were like, let's get fancy with it. So that was a really rare instance. Again, if you see these kind of condition labels, this is design. It's good. It's going to be 99.9% of the time. Cool. All right. Well, that's alternating treatments design. And again, we show experimental control by showing those differences in levels between our conditions. We don't have as clear of like prediction, verification, replication, but it kind of happens like with throughout like the chart. So like for our play condition here, like the trend is at 0 and levels at 0. So we would just predict that would continue until we actually verify that later on. Cool. We're not going to talk about sequence effects and multiple treatment interference tonight. It's a deep rabbit hole, and I don't think it's worth our time because we have a lot more to get through today. So if you have questions about sequence effects and multiple and stuff like that, we'll save that for a different day because it's a deep rabbit hole, and I don't think it's super necessary for the exam. All right. Let's go check out this chart here. I want you to just kind of look at this chart and tell me what kind of experimental design do we have here? Is this a withdrawal design, an alternating treatments design, or is it both? What do you guys think? And of course, that rationale is going to really enhance your answer here. I love this. You guys have been an amazing crowd tonight. We're at 94 likes. Remember, if we get to 100 by the end of the stream, our next giveaway is going to be another Super Ultimate Mock Bundle. And if not, we'll give away something else later. So again, we're looking at this graph right now. What kind of experimental design do we have? Is it withdrawal design? Withdrawal reversal? Is it an alternating treatments, or is it both? And we're looking for those rationales on this one. Looking for rationales here. Aiden, is it doing so rapidly? All right. yeah, precious, nice. Looking at those key features we talked about. Let's see those rationales. Let's tighten this up. Yeah, nice TN. I like your rationale there. All right, loving to see the rationales coming through. Okay, Shay, I like where you're going. On the right track. Okay, I like Jessica. Very nice, very nice. Added on to her gold star pile. Ooh, yeah, Amy, nice point out there. Really good. Yeah, Aiden, there you go. That's great. Take that question mark off. You got it. All right. So this one is going to be a withdrawal reversal. There is actually no alternating treatments design here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this graph. Remember, for alternating treatments, what we need to see is that there's going to be rapid alternation between our treatment conditions. What we see here is it's good to, like, when you're looking at a graph, to kind of like orient yourself to the different labels across the graph. So first thing we want to look at is the chart label. This one is decreasing entry with a visual barrier. We see that we have a baseline condition. We've got this visual barrier plus redirection. We implement that phase a few times, and then we have a redirection only condition. The data paths here, we've got two data paths going on. So we have entries and approaches. When we read the chart title, we can say we're decreasing entries. So entries are going to be one of our dependent variables. We can also see on our y-axis label that it says approaches and entries per hour. So again, that does more confirmation that these two different things on our legend are going to be dependent variables. These are not independent variables. So this one is not an alternating treatments design because the two dots here, these are looking at dependent variables and not independent variables. Another thing, a couple people pointed this out, and I was like so happy they did, is that they pointed out that both of these are on the same sessions. So we look here, like we're looking at the entries and approaches on each day, rather than the rapidly alternating pattern that we would see on this design. So we see the two data points occur on each day rather than flip-flopping back and forth. So a couple different ways that we can see that this is not an alternating treatment design. Cool. I'm just going to go through this graph real fast. We have our baseline conditions. We've got two different dependent variables. So I'm going to just draw some rough level lines for both of them. Rough level line like here. Most of these overlapped here, so that's cool. We got a level line here. We got a level line here or so. We've got one here, and then we're like here. Cool. So overall, we would say that we did two different interventions here. We would say that our visual barrier plus redirection is pretty effective, decreasing both behaviors. So we saw that our approaches were at about a level of 7.5 or 8. We had entries at about like 6.5 or 7. And then we decreased those down to 0 and 4. So pretty good decrease. We went back to baseline. We saw both of these increase to even higher levels. So they increased to about 8 or 9. And then we implemented the intervention again. We saw some decreases. We even saw like some stabilization towards near zero levels towards the end here. So that was also pretty cool. Then what they did is they're like, hey, we did this visual barrier plus redirection. But this visual barrier like might be an intrusive element. So like, does the redirection only work? And they tried it, and it's like, no, it kind of like reverted right back to baseline levels. They're like not much better than baseline levels. So they implemented the dual treatment again, and then they saw decreases to near zero once again. So pretty effective intervention here with the visual barrier plus redirection. And again, we just want to compare these level lines between our condition to show experimental control. So we wouldn't know. What this data would tell us is that the visual barrier is a necessary element to decrease the behavior. We don't know if it's effective alone because we didn't test it alone. But we know the redirection only doesn't work, but we know together it does work pretty well. Yes, we do have 100 likes. So we will be giving away that super ultimate mock bundle in once we get a little bit closer to the end of this stream. But thanks everybody who smashed that like button. We did it. We'll give away that bundle towards the end of our stream. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. Well, I'm going really slow tonight because we still got a lot to get through. We're going to finish our designs. We were going to go over internal and external validity and experimental analyses tonight, but it's going to run us like really late. So we're going to finish these designs and then we'll do our giveaway and wrap up for the night. All right. You guys are asking really great questions, though. I love it. I can tell you're thinking hard and giving some really good rationales, too. Okay, let's talk about multiple baseline designs. First, getting into the features. One thing that a lot of people miss about multiple baseline designs is that they only test out a single intervention. So we're looking at one intervention at a time here. Alternating treatments and our withdrawal will look at multiple, or can look at multiple. What a multiple baseline does is that we show these A-B relationships across either different settings, people, or behaviors. These different settings, people, or behaviors, these are going to be different dependent variables. So we're looking at the behavior of different people. Those are different DVs, for example. So a lot of people miss that connection. The settings, people, behaviors, these are DVs. For visual analysis, this one's really easy to identify. So what we want to look for is that we have stacked graphs, but not only are the graphs stacked, but they form like this staircase pattern with our phase change line. So what the staircase pattern does is that it demonstrates that our DVs have different duration baselines. And this is a necessary element for our multiple baseline design. So note, like, our first baseline is 5 sessions. Our second baseline is 10 sessions. Our third one is 15. So each one gets longer. And we can show that by seeing that phase change line occur later on. So let's talk about prediction, verification, and replication with this one. So related to that, like what we do is that we can make our prediction about baseline conditions as normal. So like we have our like pretty stable pattern at 40 here. So we would predict like, hey, it's probably going to stay at 40 if we implement intervention, but for our second dependent variable. So the reason why we need to have those extended baselines is because here is where we show verification with our second dependent variable. So we make this prediction about our baseline condition, and we're like, yeah, we prove this prediction is accurate with our second dependent variable, with Sarah. So this is where our baseline logic comes into play. Is that we make our prediction, and then our second dependent variable with the extended baseline can show that verification. Same kind of thing here is we have that trend and level is no trend. The level's right at 40. We would predict that, yep, this is going to stay around there at 40. Cool. And then we have verification number 2 here when we prove that prediction about our baseline condition was accurate. So this is where our baseline logic comes into play. Is that we make our prediction, and then our second dependent variable with the extended baseline can show that verification. Same kind of thing here is we have that trend and level is no trend. The level's right at 40. We would predict that, yep, this is going to stay around there at 40. Cool. And then we have verification number 2 here when we prove that prediction about our baseline condition was accurate. So that is our verification. And then for our replication, again, what we're doing in this design is that we're replicating an A-B relationship. So what we're doing is we're implementing our intervention with each dependent variable, and then we want to compare the level of the baseline and intervention conditions to each other. So we did that with all of our different dependent variables. We can see that increase. Sorry, these lines are getting a little sloppy. And kind of same thing here is that we see that increase here, but not quite as strong with Jackie. So, and here this we have like our first A/B demonstration, and then we show replication when we see our predictions about our baseline condition, or sorry, our predictions about our treatment condition are proven accurate. So we predict that like, yeah, it's gonna continue at this high level with no trend. Then we replicate that in each of our intervention phases for each different dependent variable. Cool. So in this design, we talked about earlier how withdrawal design is the strongest, where we have clear demonstration, like we implement the intervention, then we remove it. This one is a weaker demonstration of experimental control because it doesn't involve removing our interventions. Alternating treatments design is like right below our withdrawal design. It's still very strong because it's removing an intervention, but it's not necessarily like removing it to like completely. Sometimes it's removing and replacing it. So it's a little bit weaker, but both are still in the like really strong territory. Multiple baseline design is significantly weaker as far as experimental control. So once again, we demonstrate our experimental control by replicating these A/B relationships across our different dependent variables. The more that we replicate it, the stronger experimental control we have. So once we like get replication with one dependent variable, we can say, okay, we've got a little bit of experimental control, and the more we replicate that, the better experimental control that we have. Cool. As far as the utility behind this design, it is going to be our most commonly used design. My prediction behind that is just because it's the easiest to run. You don't need to show like as strong of experimental control. Once again, there is no reversal, so it is our weakest demonstration of experimental control. Because we never remove that intervention to show our data. Multiple baseline designs are really great to teach irreversible behaviors because we don't need to remove our intervention at any point to show experimental control in that way. We do it by replicating with different dependent variables. So if it works with multiple dependent variables, then we can be more confident that it's doing the thing. It's overall a pretty flexible design that can be used with a wide variety of behaviors. And it's not the best for severe or dangerous behavior. So this is due to those extended baseline conditions are necessary for this one. So you can use it with problem behavior, but it's not great for like severe or dangerous behavior. So if you are using it for problem behavior, make sure it's more mild problem behavior. Cool. All right. I think my voice is getting a little bit tired, and I see people are dropping off a little bit. I know we covered quite a bit tonight. So I think what we're actually going to do, we've never done this before, is we'll do experimental design part 3 next week. So we'll finish, we'll talk about changing criterion designs. I'll even add in a bonus. We'll talk a little bit about combination designs. So combining multiple experimental designs together. And then we'll get into experimental analyses, and we'll also talk about internal and external validity. So we've never done this in UB history, but we're doing Part 3 experimental design next week. Should be super fun. So make sure you're showing up for that. And you guys have been waiting very patiently, and the light counter is looking fire. So let's go ahead. We're going to give away one more Super Ultimate Mock Bundle before we wrap up the night. You got it this time, Jameson. Hell yeah, brother. Aiden, I believe you'll get those gold stars next week. Anyway, you can start putting in numbers. We'll do 1 to 500 again. This is for one more Super Ultimate Mock Bundle tonight. Yeah, part 3. Let's go. All right, numbers are coming in. Let's keep them coming. Who's going to win it? Super Ultimate Mock Bundle valued at $155. Comes with our mini mocks, which are the most difficult questions that we've ever created, and 2 full-length mocks. Super awesome. The mini mocks are also viewable on the Understanding Behavior app. If you don't have it yet, you should probably get it. We've got free trials of everything. So if you want to try the mini mocks, you can do 2 of them for free. 25 question mocks, totally for free. Great feedback. Aiden says they might crush your confidence, but they crush you so they can build you back up, because we provide really great rationales for you to learn from. So learning and changing and growing, it requires a little bit of suffering. I think that's going to be the next study tip of the week next week is choose your suffering. Because you don't learn, you don't grow, you don't achieve anything great without a little bit of suffering. So yeah, it's really great. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna pick this number. Cynthia's gonna be our last entry here. 301. Help me out. Who's closest? Ooh, I see Shay at 295. That's pretty good. Oh, Jessica 299. Oh man, and she got at least 1 gold star tonight. That would be an epic way to wrap up the evening for Jessica. She's only 2 away. Is anybody closer? I think Jessica's got it at 299. It's gonna be hard to beat that. Awesome. Well, she earned that gold star, and now she earned the Super Ultimate Mock Bundle. That's amazing. Sid, I'm sorry you've been so close tonight. Better luck next time. All right, congratulations, Jessica. You had to claim your prize. Just send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com, and we will hook you up. That's what happens when you get the gold star question right. I mean, you get your luck increases like tenfold. So that's amazing. What an epic way to end the evening. So yeah, congrats to our winners tonight, Jessica and Selena. Both walking away with a Super Ultimate Mock Bundle. We'll do Experimental Design Part 3 next week. Thank you so much for all of your amazing participation tonight. If you haven't checked it out, if you're looking for some really good structure to your studying, the Behavior BCBA course is the way to go. We put so much love into this product, and it gives you a structured way to study. Really fun, really great to learn for it. You'll get exactly what you need. The mini mocks have our most challenging mock questions if you're looking for those. And if you really like looking to to like get your studying game on point. The complete beast mode bundle is the way to go. You get all of our products. You get the Beast Layer course, which will give you that structure. You've got the fluency questions to test yourself on the go with some easy questions when you got a few minutes. Mini mocks to brutalize you section by section, and our full-length mocks to give a real demonstration of the exam and give you a nice scoring report to give you an idea of how well you're going to do as well. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming tonight, everyone. I hope to see you next Thursday for Experimental Design Part 3. I hope to see you in our Facebook Power Preppers group. So make sure you're joining that. And yeah, I hope you have a great evening and rest of your weekend, and take care. I'll see you next week. Jessica's asking the difference between these sessions and the Beast course. So the Beast Layer course is a little bit more detailed, and it doesn't have like any of like the filler talking about chat and likes and stuff. Gets right to exactly what you need. It has the built-in interactive questions as well, and it also comes with graphics for you to download as well. So lots of perks to that. And it's also comprehensive, where it goes over everything, where we only cycle through a few select topics in these streams as well. Cool. All right. Well, have a great evening, everyone. Catch you next week, and keep crushing it. Later, crew.